Hey, welcome back here. Going to do part 2 of the video here on Final Review Part 2. Just going to look at 2 questions because that's all I got so far from this section that people asked about. But feel free to ask some more questions and I might make a new video. We'll see. Alright, so this first question here, let me explain to you guys why there's actually 4 possible answers to this one. Alright, let me get my marker ready here. Alright, so it's tangent squared of x equals 1. You want to figure out, you're looking for an angle from 0 to 2 pi that would make this true. In fact, there's a lot of angles that would make this true from 0 to 2 pi. Alright, so it's a quadratic equation. Notice the square here. So the easiest way to solve quadratic equations is, well, factoring, okay? So you could try doing this one by factoring, or by the square root method, okay? So let's, that's just the 1 over there. And so you could actually do this one by the square root method. So if tangent squared of x equals 1, all right, now remember tangent squared of x is the same thing as saying tangent of x all squared. Okay, if that's equal to 1, and then you square root both sides to solve this, you have to remember to put the plus or minus sign in. Okay, so anytime you square root both sides, you need that plus or minus sign. Now, alternatively, you could solve it by factoring. Okay, you just move over the 1 and it becomes something like u squared minus 1, where u is equal to tangent of x. And then this is just the difference of two squares. You have u plus 1 and then u minus 1. And you set each factor equal to 0 to solve. Okay, so anyways, you're going to have the square root of tangent of x squared is just equal to tangent of x, okay, and that's equal to plus or minus 1. All right, so let's just think for a second what this actually means. So if we put an angle into tangent, the output ratio is equal to positive 1 or negative 1. Okay, now remember that the ratios all lie along a unit circle here, okay? And ratios have two parts to them, a numerator and denominator. And in case of trig ratios, it's either y, x, or r. So understood 1 on the bottom. Since it's tangent, okay, tangent is opposite over adjacent. Opposite goes with the y variable. Adjacent goes with the x variable. So if you have 1 over 1, that would mean you would go over 1, and then you would go, actually you'd go up 1 first, and then you'd go over 1. So it would be a triangle here, okay, in the first quadrant. 1, 1. All right. Now, you might be wondering, okay, why is there actually 4 answers to this? Well, because it's plus or minus 1, you could also go negative 1, okay? You'd have a triangle there. And then you could have 2 negatives, which cancel out and be a positive. So you actually are going to end up with 4 identical triangles. Well, they're not really identical. They're in different quadrants, okay? But the angle in these triangles are always the same, okay? So like, think of an isosceles triangle, okay? These are all right triangles. So what degree must this be for it to be 1 and 1? Okay, hopefully you're figuring it out here. So x must be equal to, it has to be a 45-degree angle here. All right, so 45-degree angle is equal to pi over 4. All right, now you just have to go around and around and around, adding, if this is pi over 4 here, you need to add another 90 degrees to get over here to this quadrant. Okay, then add another 90 degrees to get down here, and then add another 90 degrees to get over here. And so these are all the variations, okay, of pi over 4 increased through all the quadrants. Okay, so hope that helps you figure it out. You're going to have 4 possible answers for this one. Let me look real quick at another one here I was starting to do. You might have tried to do this one and might have not had too much success here. Tangent squared of x equals 1/3. This is the same deal. Okay, you can solve this by doing the square root method. All right, so you have plus or minus, okay, square root of 1/3. Now, you could take the square root of the top, which is 1, and the square root of 3 on the bottom. So you have plus or minus 1/3. All right, so once again, you have to consider all the tangents or all the quadrants that make this have this ratio of plus or minus 1/3. All right, so positive 1/3, and remember it's y over x. So that would mean you would go up 1, okay, and over square root of 3. All right, that would be like the first, okay, the first answer here. Now, you would also have a triangle down here too, okay, because you could have negative 1, okay, and then you could have another triangle over here because that would be negative 1 on the, so the negative sign can go on the bottom or the top. So I mean, you basically have all these different variations that it could be. You have 1 over square root of 3, you have negative 1 over square root of 3. You would have 1 over negative square root of 3. And lastly, you could have negative 1 over negative square root of 3. So you actually have 4 possible answers for these 4 different variations of y and x distances. Okay, y being up and x being across. All right, and so in this particular one, I'm not going to go through all the answers, but just remember opposite. Okay, if the smallest side is 1 here, okay, opposite this angle, if it's a 1, that means that this angle is the smallest angle of the common ones here, which makes this a 30-degree angle. And if this is a 30-degree angle, okay, one of your possible answers is going to be pi over 6. Okay, and then you just increase it. So this triangle right here is pi over 6 short of pi, okay, because remember pi is 180 degrees, so you're pi over 6 short of it. So from here to here, this is 5 pi over 6, okay? And then that would be your next answer, and then you just keep going, okay? So the next one would be pi over 6 more, so it'd be 7 pi over 6, all right, I believe. These are a little tricky, I know. And then you would, for your last answer, you're pi over 6 short of 2 pi. So that would be 11 pi over 6. All right, so there you go. There's your 4 answers. Sorry about this scribble scrabble in the middle there. Okay, but hopefully that makes sense for you guys. Why there's so many different answers. Okay, because you got all these different ratios that would be the same. All right, let's go on and look at number 9 now. Let's see, I can find number 9. Okay, so here you're doing an integral from 2 to 7, all right, of 2 plus 2x. So this is a good one where you want to think, oh, okay, I have area underneath a line, okay, 2 plus 2x. So you're going from 2. Okay, it's going to be an increasing slope, so it's going to go up like this. And you're going from 2 to 7, okay? So you're basically doing the area right here, bounded by this and this. Okay, so all the space in this region here. Okay, so notice that this is a trapezoid. So you want to remember to figure this out, you're not doing left rectangle approximation method, because that's an approximation method. You're getting this exact area here. So you're doing the area of a trapezoid formula, okay, which is it's basically a half, okay, or base 1 plus base 2. I think it's a little different in your notes. All right, times the height. Okay, so I think it was base 1 plus base 2 all over 2, which is the same thing. Okay, so the height, okay, is just this distance here. So the height is actually the run in this case, because it's like a trapezoid on its side here, it's sideways trapezoid. So just tilt your head on the side, and it makes you feel better. All right, so the height's 5. 7 minus 2 is 5, so that distance is 5. Now these two bases, you need to determine what their heights are here. Okay, and you determine that by substituting into the function here. So if you put 2 in, okay, so like base 1 is going to be 2 plus 2 times 2, okay, because you're going from 2 to 7 and base 1 is right here. Okay, and base 2 is right here, this distance up and down there. So you're going to have 4 and 6, so that's on 6. Base 2 is going to be 14 plus 2 is 16. Okay, so you're going to have 6 plus 16, so this is 22. 1/2 of 22 is 11. So you have 11 times 5. Your answer should be 55. Let me check if it is 55 real quick, if we did everything right. Hopefully, voila. Okay, so that isn't too bad. Hopefully you got all that figured out there. Let me know if that's not good enough, and I'll go a little slower on it. All right. Have a great day, guys, and let me know if you got any more questions. Happy studying. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.